Here I'm looking at what we call a run book, and it details the steps required to grab HR data from your HR or ERP system, or maybe even a student information system, and then provision users both on-premise and cloud, all with one automated workflow. When a new user is hired or terminated, and that information is updated in the HR, ERP, or SIS systems, Cayosoft Administrator will dynamically react to that and either provision, update, or deprovision the user account without any user intervention. Each step is going to perform a task either on-premise or cloud. The first one was to feed the system a text file. Once I've configured the rules, I just simply click run, or I can schedule this to happen. It submits it to the service. The service then goes and performs all those tasks. There's a little light at the top right of my screen that shows exactly what steps we're on. In this case, it's simply creating users. Now it's updating addresses. Now it's creating the Office 365 accounts. Once it completes that, it'll assign licenses, create a remote mailbox on premise, and eventually complete the task. If I drill down on this to modify the first rule, and I ask to see a preview of the file, it'll give me a list of the usernames. So here, for example, is Adam Arturo, New York Accounting. So these are the 5 users that we just are in the process of provisioning. Let's say you'd like to automate user provisioning, but for some reason the HR data that you need isn't available. Cayosoft Administrator comes complete with a hybrid web portal that allows me to provision new users in an automated fashion, but it starts off with the user actually clicking new user. So here I'm looking at a location within my organization, Columbus, and I'm looking at my on-premise Active Directory users, and I need to create a brand new user. So I'm going to click new user, and what you'll see is that when I start to provide these fields with data, a lot of things start magically happening on the screen. We have rules that determine a unique login name for that individual according to my company, and then I have the domains that I'm allowed to select from, or I can lock these down so that they can't make changes to them at all. In this case, this user will have a mailbox, but it's going to be in the cloud. I'm going to click the license options to see what I have available, and I'm actually going to set a full E3 for that user. So I've selected a license. I can also hide that completely and do other types of licensing to remove that complexity. I click next, I get the standard. What do you want to do with the user account? I'm going to let it generate a password for me, and we automatically put a note in saying who created the account and the date and time. I'll click next. And now I have some attributes that are preset for Columbus. And we'll say that this person is an engineer in the operations department. I can provide other things like manager or employee ID. Finally, the last step is to populate attributes that may not exist in on-premise directory or your cloud directory. These are what we call virtual attributes. So this is information that you can use at an IT operations level that it's not actually stored in on-premise Active Directory or in the cloud Active Directory. These are useful for things like application provisioning, determining access methods, etc. So you'll see here there's an option to synchronize this account to Active Directory. So you may not synchronize all accounts, just ones that are going to get, for example, an Office license. Now I go ahead and click Create, and I'm now free to go off and perform other tasks. If, for example, Ella Hood called me and asked me to reset Ella's password, I can come down and just simply do that very quickly. So now I've just reset Ella's password. But in reality, I'm actually doing 2 things. I kicked off the user provisioning for the Josh account, but now I'm continuing to perform other tasks. So I'm not being held to the fact that full user provisioning might take 5 to 10 minutes. At any point in time, if I click the notifications icon at the top right, I can see that the password was reset successfully, but we're still waiting on some of the tasks to complete for the user provisioning. And you can see that there is the Josh Smith account being created in the cloud. And if I come down here, you'll see there's the Josh Smith account being created on premise. And you'll notice that we didn't use Azure AD Connect to have to synchronize those 2. We worked with the Active Directory team, and in fact, the folks that built Azure Active Directory Connect. And so we had a very good understanding of what that product did and how it worked. And so we can actually provision both sides of the equation prior to any synchronization that's happening. This is going to save time and also means that that account is available immediately. You don't have to wait 30 minutes or an hour for that user to begin using that account and being productive.